What up, everybody? All right, we are here. Thank you guys for joining us. We are the Bracket Brothers. We are here to talk about some teams today. Here with me is the big man Don Taylor. Say hello.
Yo, what's up? Go Texans, new logo. All right.
I've seen the new Texans logo, so since I'm finally on board with Houston Texans,
That's right.
I have to say, yeah, I kind of like the logo.
Oh yeah. Ordered it as soon as I got it. Yep, H-Town. It looks gaudy. I don't care. I'm taking it to the bank.
Look, I want it to be gaudy because the original uniforms are trash.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It was just too simple.
They were trash for me.
I think that was uncreative.
I think that was one of the reasons why I just never got on board with the Texans, because I was like, they kind of boring.
Yeah, they just did a little thing on the shoulder and that's it. And no flair or anything.
It was boring. But like I said, after this, previous season, I'm on board. I'm finally somewhat of a fan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
definitely. Good. We welcome.
Thank you very much. So just to let everyone know out there, again, this is, we're still beginning. So our concept, we have, well, 1 second, my light went out. So.
Yeah. I got the natural, I got the whatever was it, the ring light, all that. I'm feeling like I'm back in the pandemic.
Right?
Meetings and whatnot right now. Yeah. Back in the work from home era.
Okay, so I don't have a light this time. Maybe I'll mess with it later. But
okay, I can see it. You good? Yeah.
It feels good out here. Oh,
yes.
I know. Oh wait, I know what the problem is. This isn't on. There we go.
In Estonia, right?
No, we have electricity here, man.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's like natural light. Yeah, so
we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay.
We got it's misty, but yeah, good.
So we're gonna talk about what we're going to do for this for the first timers, for the people who are just starting to watch us. So we're going to be talking about certain topics that have come up between me and Don, and we're going to try and settle some differences. Okay.
Yes.
We're gonna answer the questions. Who is the best? Who is the greatest? Who is the worst? Who is the most thoughtiest woman? Stuff like that too. We're gonna talk about it all.
Oh yeah.
We just had the biggest cougar of 2023.
Man, that's a cigar lounge. That's not supposed to be in this one.
Oh, I can't talk about that?
We'll figure it out later. Yeah, we'll edit that part out. We'll figure it out.
We can talk about it.
That's the premium. Maybe the cigar lounge is a premium account. Oh, man. Yeah. This was sold 85 bears.
All right, well, we'll get to it then. We'll get to it. But so we're going to talk about, for our first, I'll say our first official bracket.
Yes.
So, as I said in the last video, we are talking about the greatest single season team of all times.
Yes,
okay. So any of the teams that just got you all hyped up, maybe it was a team that made you a fan of whichever sport you're a fan of, we're going to talk about those teams. We're talking NBA, we're talking NFL, Major League Baseball, the NHL. We're talking about Division I college football, Division I college basketball, Division I women's college basketball, the WNBA, and soccer leagues. Okay. So what we're going to do today is we are going to start with the first 16 teams. First 16 teams that has made the selection. And we want you guys to comment down below and let us know if you agree with these teams, if they are truly some of the greatest teams. Now, the criteria is it's not only just the dominant teams, the ones that we remember as far as like dominance. We're talking about teams from every facet of sports. So we're talking about the dominant teams. We are talking about the greatest comeback teams. We're
Yes.
talking about Cinderella teams. We're talking about the most entertaining teams, the memorable ones. And we're talking all of the teams from every part of team sports. And also, as we said before, we're not going to include the teams that are, I guess you can say, seasonal or, just in another category. So, for example, we won't be talking about the 92 Dream Team,
Yeah, only club.
USA
Yeah.
basketball.
No national teams, no
No
Olympics.
national teams.
No East German gymnastics, no rowing, World Cup. Nope, just club teams.
Absolutely. Club teams only. When we talk about college football, we're talking about Division I only. And so, yeah, that's it. So we'll probably have a bracket for that type of
Yeah,
showdown.
we probably do
Yeah.
something like that down the line. Yeah.
Yeah. National teams, from the World Cup, from the
Oh,
Olympics, from this, from that.
Argentina,
Yeah, we'll
soccer,
talk about.
yeah, Dream Team, blah, blah. That could be fun too. Yeah, we'll get there down the line.
Yeah. So for this one, we're only talking about club teams. And so we're going to start off. Should I start off with the more obvious one?
Sure, dude. Let's just start off so everybody knows we're not playing
Let's
around.
just start off. Okay, yeah. So we're not playing around with this, people. So first team that we are going to talk about is the 1985 Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
So this is a team that had Sweetness, the Fridge, the Super Bowl Shuffle. We know all that stuff. So I'm going to read to you a little bit. The 1985 Chicago Bears were filled with personality while dominating the regular season and winning the Super Bowl. 15-1 in the regular season. They had a combined score of 45-0 in the playoffs. And once they got to the Super Bowl, they easily beat the New England Patriots 46-10.
Oh,
the Bears had I know, right? I remember that one too.
Oh,
The Bears had a unique team. While they had a potent offense led by Walter Payton and Jim McMahon, it was their defense that equally shined. Led by Richard Dent and Michael Singletary, who are both in the Hall of Fame. Richard Dent actually won the Super Bowl MVP that year as a defensive-man. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the last person to win the Super Bowl MVP as a defensive man. So 1985 was the last time.
Oh yeah.
So what do we think about that first one?
Yeah, it's the most obvious choice. I think when we talk in America about American football or football, and people talk about whether or not the 85 Bears, everybody just says that is the default greatest team. People kind of just say in conversations, well, they ain't the 85 Bears. It's not like we're playing the 85 Bears here. We can do better than this, can't we? It's
right.
You go on their Wikipedia, you see how many people were in the Pro Bowl that year. They had about 7-8 guys in the Pro Bowl, 10 guys in All Pro. You look at that they were so dominant in that year. It really kind of defined that defense. And you can almost say, to me, it almost feels like Chicago Bears never really got back to that and tried to get back to that with defense all the time, try to replicate that, and still weren't there. It's just the 85 Bears is what it is. I mean, it was on Saturday Night Live, the Bears. I mean, that's where it came from, Ditka and all that stuff. It's right up there.
They really were like a cultural phenomenon too. Like when you have something that good and it's, it gets to be that popular, it says something about your team that you are, so popular that comedy shows will talk about you, news programs will talk about you. So many documentaries will be, will be done about just that team.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's going to be a tough one to beat in the bracket.
yeah,
It's probably going to be how many fans of other sports are showing up
exactly.
to be the 85 players, honestly. So we're not playing around with
Right.
this. So there's
So,
going to be,
Don, go ahead and
yeah, let's go to the next one.
go ahead and give me another
All right,
one.
so I'm going to work my
Give me
way
your
down
first
the
one.
list. We're going to go to my earliest NBA memory, which is the 87 Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay, yeah, we are starting off very,
Go
very
Tide.
strong.
So they lost the season before in the playoffs, but they came in to have a monster year led by Magic Johnson himself, winning his first league MVP. The Lakers posted their second best record in franchise history, 65-17,
Mm.
led by Defensive Player of the Year Michael Cooper, posting an 11-1 record going into the finals. So only lost one game in the playoffs. Back then, there was only what 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, wasn't as many games. Beat the rival, hated, and very much awesome Boston Celtics in 6 to win the championship. 87 Lakers. What are you thinking?
So,
My
as
first
a
game in basketball.
as a young man who was living in
Mm.
Los Angeles at that time and
Oh wow! Yeah.
just getting into basketball, that was the greatest team I ever saw. Like,
Oh yeah.
even with my young eyes, I was only a basketball fan for what, maybe 2 years at that
Yeah.
point, and living in Los Angeles, like I saw like signs everywhere talking about, city of champions, because the Lakers were champions, and the, what do you call it,
The
the
Dodgers,
Dodgers, they were
Dodgers, the
champions,
Bones. Yep, 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 yep.
and the Raiders, they had won
Raiders were kicking
in
butt. Yeah,
what,
in
I
the
think it
80s.
was
Yep.
83, something
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. Raiders were kicking
And
butt in the years.
even
Yeah,
the
yeah. All
indoor
dominant.
soccer league,
Mhm.
we were tops in that for a while. So we were the city of champions, and people wanted this one so bad because 1986 was such a disappointment. The
Mhm.
way that we lost in the Western Conference Finals, and I
Mhm.
remember that too. So, man, the Showtime was in full swing
Oh, the
that year.
Spectrum.
It was. I remember this one. I remember one game when the Lakers beat the Supersonics, and I wasn't with Ice Cube though, but
Yeah.
but Magic, he had like this dominant game. And the only thing that I can remember,
Mhm.
like now when you think about it, I think
Mhm.
about how people say certain things about Magic, it's like, yeah, he wasn't really that much of a scorer. Well, it's because he didn't need to.
No,
He
no.
affected the game other ways. And but that year, oh, he scored. He was going for it, and the man could score. People don't understand how good of a scorer he was just because it's not on a stat sheet or whatever. The man could score, so I
Mhm.
don't even want to hear nothing about it. But he changed how the game looked, and and just everything was just moving. Like Byron Scott, that's when he came into his game that year. James Worthy was already there, and um, I think AC Green was in his second year, and
Yeah,
he just turned out to be this, like, just this force under the basket.
absolutely. I mean, look at this
Yeah.
roster. I've got at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Cooper. We talked about AC Green. We talked about who was he ever a virgin? I don't know. You got Magic, who was certainly James Worthy, Kurt Rambis, the Kurt Rambis glasses. You just can't beat it. Magic got MVP, Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year,
Hmm.
Cooper, NBA first all NBA first team for Magic.
Hmm.
It
And you can't forget them trading for Michael Thompson
yeah.
that year too, and he
Oh,
was a
I see him there.
huge help.
Yeah, one power
He was
forward,
a
6 foot
he
10,
was
and
huge.
yeah, and you can't. Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking growing up at that point, really in Cleveland, Ohio, in the heat and just everybody was more Pistons guys out there, like my family, uncles, father, all of them, as far as who they're cheering for. But man, for me, we're all the kids, all about Magic Johnson and the Lakers. Um, So yeah, so it's gonna be a tough one to beat as well.
All
And
right.
so let's see what we got then. So we know about the 87 Lakers. Showtime is that's not the season the HBO show was based on. I think that's like Magic's first season, the HBO show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something we can talk about later.
yeah,
But
yeah. And the cultural
they were supposed
phenomenon
to
from that.
they were supposed to get into that
They were going to work their
87
way
and
towards
80.
that, I think. I
Yeah.
think did it get canceled? I think ultimately,
Yeah,
or no?
they canceled it after the second season, and I was
Okay,
pissed off. I
okay,
was like,
okay. Yeah,
I'm just now getting into it. Like I'm actually liking it now. And then they cancel it and
then they canceled it. Yeah, yeah. HBO will
they
do it. So
they ended it on the 84 season.
okay, yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, are you kidding me?
And I
You're
know
gonna
they
end
jumped
it?
around when
Yeah.
Magic was confirmed HIV. Was kind of like the
I think they
beginning,
were gonna get
getting
to
him
that too.
back to college,
Yeah.
high school, and then worked as was going to work his way up. I think was the idea to that.
Yeah.
You know,
So
we'll
that
see.
was so disappointing.
That's okay. Yeah, that's how it is.
So
That's TV.
so
Okay,
let's get to the
87
third
Lakers.
one. Oh man, we got so many teams to go to. We're only on
Go
number
for
three.
it, man. Your turn.
So let's see. So we have one football, we have one basketball. Let's go to baseball,
Mm,
shall we? Let's go
mm.
to baseball. Now, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I am a fan of sports and dominant teams. So I think for the first team for baseball that we should look at, let's look at the 1961 New York Yankees,
The Bombers.
the Bronx Bombers.
Mm,
Yes.
mm, mm.
This
Woo.
is this is the team
This is
that
ready. Now we're gonna get our butts kicked. Now let's start talking Yankees talk. Oh,
hey,
oh, now I ain't be able to walk in the
hey,
streets.
we're being objective here. We're
Oh, you're
just talking
trying
about
to.
even though I spent 5 minutes talking about the Lakers, we're still
Yep,
objective,
yep,
okay?
yep, yep. Mm-hmm.
So so when we're talking about this team, we don't talk about their 109 wins, which is seventh most in the history of Major League Baseball. We don't talk about them winning the World Series over Cincinnati 4 games to 1,
Mm.
and we don't even talk about their manager Whitey Ford. All
Yeah.
we talk about is the Eminem boys. That is Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris in their
Um,
incredible race to chase
oh.
down their fellow legend Babe Ruth and his
Mm,
home run
mm,
record.
mm, mm.
And the term Bronx Bombers came from this team
No
by
kidding.
yeah, it
I
was
know
this
that.
team.
Okay. Yeah.
Doubling.
Again, why am I get my butt kicked? Yeah. You didn't know
You didn't know that? Really?
that?
They doubled up most teams by the runs category. They totaled 240 runs that year, and most of them coming from these two players. But
Mhm.
Roger Maris was the hero of that squad. He went
Mm.
through intensive anxiety through that season because of the record and the commissioner putting a
Oh,
lot of pressure on him. And he opted out to have an asterisk on the new record, the commissioner, because the Major League Baseball had expanded to 162 games that season,
oh, no kidding.
and
Okay.
yeah, and Babe Ruth did it in 154 games, or in the
Okay.
154
Okay.
game era. Nevertheless, it was a record-breaking year that culminated in one of the greatest seasons ever in baseball.
Unreal.
So
Unreal.
we
Yeah.
have the 61 Yankees. What do you
And you
think?
got to think of how long that record stood for Maris. I think that stood up until Mark McGwire.
1997.
Yeah, Mark McGwire, Sammy
Yeah.
Sosa, and we all know the steroid accusations it took. You think that's what 35, 36 years later, how much improvements we had in nutrition and sports science and the juice and the and the sauce and the gear and the rule changes and the different baseballs for someone to finally break the record. And if you are one of those guys that's a more of a purist and doesn't want to look at that record as being broken because of the steroid era, because Barry Bonds came right after that. Barry Bonds looked like the Incredible Hulk out there, like Andre the Giant swinging the bat. Okay, I think that record still stands if you factor out Bonds, Sosa, Bonds, and McGwire. I think that if you don't count, if which I think some baseball purists would take it out, So you
Hmm.
may say the record may still stand for a cleaner record than what the guys had. So you think how amazing that really is.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it it does it is kind of amazing because
I have to look at it to make sure. Hmm.
steroids or not, having that type of power to do that over 162
Yeah.
season, it's something incredible. I don't even know if I could get one home run.
Yeah, it's the
So
hardest thing to do. And the second hardest thing I understand in sports, they say, is to
yeah,
hit a professionally thrown pitched baseball. And the hardest thing is to throw a professionally pitched baseball. It's that difficult. But yeah, it's really um yeah, Hank Aaron. No, we'll get there later. That's single season. Okay, so yeah, I was looking at the stats on the side here, but yeah, you're absolutely right. And I don't know if you've been to you probably have been to Yankee Stadium, the old one, the original.
I've never been to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, the history, the records, the flags. Got to give it to them. And that '61 team, a movie was made about that record that season as well. I
Right.
think Mariners got some heat because nobody wanted Babe Ruth's record to be broken.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah,
he had major anxiety over that season because even though even though he was doing something great, and for some of the fans it was, like, oh, is he going to do it? Oh, we haven't seen this in so long. There were other fans that didn't want it happening. He had death threats about it. The commissioner was on him, like pressuring him um
okay.
to actually do it, but he still wanted to put an asterisk by it because, well, you have 8 more games to like make it happen.
So just
So
so you know, for the Yankees folks, I'm sure they're yelling right now at the screen. Aaron Judge did break Roger Maris's record 2 years ago in 2022.
got
So
it. Okay.
everybody just I had to make sure I got my stats. I'm not we don't have what does Joe Rogan have? Jamie look that up. Like he can just keep looking at the camera and has a guy doing all the stats in the back. But everybody above Maris and Judge are names are Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, or Sammy Sosa, who I think
Right.
every a lot of purists take out. So you're really just looking at for the clean version, top 10, if you take out the steroid era guys, is Aaron Judge number one, Maris
Hmm.
two, Babe Ruth three, Babe Ruth four. So it's
Wow.
really so you think, and I think Maris got heat. Now I'm sure Hank Aaron got way more heat. He was trying to break the overall record, but being a brother and all that may get there one day. But yeah, so good stuff. The '61 Yankees, something World
Hmm.
Series winners as well. We're talking about the record. That's a season for you. That's a season.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So
Okay,
my turn,
so
I
let's
think.
get to the fourth team. You pick the next
14,
team.
14. So I'm gonna take the Amtrak north a little bit and go to the 2004 Boston Red Sox. We're gonna stay with baseball a little bit here.
Ooh,
Right up the
you
track.
really
Yeah,
just
yeah.
made
Trying to get my butt
Yankees.
kicked out here.
You're
There's
just really
Nationals,
making
man.
Yankees fans hate you right
That's
now.
Nationals, man. Oh man, I'm stirring the pot. Yeah, make sure you write these down now. So the team was stacked. Now still finished second in they did finish
Red
their
Sox.
division. 2004 Red Sox. I remember this well. The Yankees beat the
Yankees
Twins.
remember this well too.
The Yankees got a 3-game lead. And what they kept saying is, just let us win one. And they just won one
Hmm.
game. Then it's 3-1. And then it's 3-2. And then they won a game. They won again, 3-4. I mean 3-3. And then they won the game 7 against their biggest rival to go to the World Series in game 7. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, wait, let's see. Hold on. The session. Let me sign in. Hold on a second. For some reason, this I may have to do that again. Stand by.
Uh-huh.
Yep, let me get a little issue there with the thing. For some reason I got logged out there. Continue. All right, there we go.
We good?
Let's see, we're still recording. It says we're recording.
Hmm.
Hey, sign in. I don't know why it says session expired. Maybe something kicked me out. It's probably the Yankees folks. Kicking me out. All right, let's roll. Looks like it's recording. That's the main thing, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's roll.
So, all
So
right.
we're talking. So we'll edit it out. So now we're talking the 2004 Red Sox beat the hated Yankees to get to the World Series in
Mhm.
7 games after being down 3-0. I don't think that's. We have to look it up later. I'm sure we can. Someone can say in the comments how many times that's actually happened. You're down 3-0 in any 7 game series and come back and win. And so that's the greatest comeback in history. They won the World Series, sweeping the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals, another historic franchise. And we're not
Mhm.
done. That was their first World Series in 86 years.
You know, it's like someone said, "Hey, how about if we write a script
Come on.
and we need someone who is believable enough." And someone said, "The Boston Celtics, they ain't won shit in
The
86
Red Sox.
years."
Yeah, the Red
I
Sox.
mean, I
Yeah,
said the
yeah,
Celtics, right? See,
yeah. The
Boston
score.
teams, Boston
Sox.
teams are all the same to me. I
Sox.
don't, whatever.
Sox.
The Red Sox, Boston Red Sox, yeah.
Sox.
So they said the Boston Red Sox, they ain't won shit in 86 years. And someone said, great, let's make it as dramatic as possible.
Yes.
And I tell you, I watched it. I think I'm not absolutely sure, but I think this was the very first time I ever actually cheered for a Boston team.
Oh, yeah. I think it has to be. I don't think I.
Because
Oh,
it
you
was
got
so amazing. And
yeah.
I don't have anything against the Yankees.
Oh, yeah. No shade.
I know they have a rivalry. I know it's a heated long standing rivalry between the Yankees and Red Sox.
Mhm.
And it didn't really matter to me, but the way it happened, I was like, oh, okay, well, Yankees are going to the World Series again. Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool, cool,
because it was
cool.
just fait accompli. You had Derek
Right.
Jeter. They've been winning World Series left and right. It felt like in them days. Did they have
It's the
eight?
modern, it was the modern
Yeah.
Yankees, right? It was that modern Yankees team that just was plowing through people. And so you thought, yeah, they're gonna go again. And then they won 1 game, and then they won 2 games, and you're like, wait, what? And then when it got to 3-3, I'm like, are you serious? This is crazy. I like this. And then when
Mhm.
they won that 4th game, and I can't remember his name. I, I want to, for some reason, I want to say Mike Schmidt, but that's not him.
No, what
I,
did the
the pitcher,
oh
um,
Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Schilling. Jesus
He had the
Christ,
blood.
yes,
I think he had the bloody sock
allegedly.
allegedly, and that's always been a thing. And now it turns out he's a little whatever. I don't talk about him now, but yeah, he's I think
But
that
I'm telling
gotta
you,
look it up. Gotta look it up.
drama.
Made me
It
look
was
better.
a movie
Yeah.
script. It was a movie script,
It's
okay?
really,
And
I'll tell you one better. Let me go deep into the memory recesses. There was a show called Boston Legal. It was a television show I watched all the time, based on, and it was a court drama, sexy kind of lawyers sleeping with everybody kind of show.
right,
It's like Grey's Anatomy, and it's the early Grey's Anatomy,
yeah,
and it had
it was a
William
Grey's
Shatner.
Anatomy for lawyers.
Exactly, great Grey's Anatomy for lawyers. It had William Shatner was Danny Crane, was the old attorney who's been there a million years and slept with everybody in the Eastern Seaboard as a part of it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he got arrested for sleeping with a businesswoman, if you know what I mean, uh, that had one leg, and trying to solicit, right? And the guys are like, and his lawyer friend, I think it's James Spader, the guy in the Blacklist now. He's playing the same character,
Yeah, James
Black,
Spader. Okay.
same character. And he actually got him. He talked to the judge and said temporary insanity was the plea, because that was when the Red Sox won. And it was such a huge deal to him that he lost his mind and went insane and tried to solicit Segs with a businesswoman illegally that had one leg. And he gave that speech so passionately, the judge just said, "Get out of here, let him go. I'm not going to fine temporary insanity, wave it off."
Stop it. Stop
And it
it.
was so funny.
What in the hell are you talking about? Stop. No, you.
It was awesome. And it was because the Red Sox won, they did that storyline. They did a whole show. I was like, what kind of mess
Shit.
that is what's happening now? One-legged businessman. I love it. So, never forgot it. So that's the 2004 Red Sox. Don't forget that one-legged businesswoman, and there you go.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm not joking.
I
It was
can't
that.
believe you brought
I
that up.
remembered that. I never forgot that episode. It was hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So man, where we headed?
Yeah, let's go. Let's move on to the next one because
Okay. Yeah.
I don't even believe what you just said.
I
All right.
put it in the comments so people can see I'm not joking. It was that big.
All right. So you know what? I'm gonna change it up a little bit because we haven't talked about this yet.
Mhm.
We're gonna go to hockey.
Okay.
And
Lovely.
the first team from hockey we're going to talk about is the 1985 Edmonton Oilers.
Yes, sir. Whoa.
So, um, there's only one name that you need to say: Wayne Gretzky, greatest of all times.
Oh,
Paul Coffey, one of the greatest scoring defensive players of all times. And they made their own dynasty at an early age.
yeah.
This team scored over 400 goals that season. And that was the fifth consecutive year they had done so. No other franchise has done that. No other franchise has even scored 400 goals or more in one season. They did it 5 times in a row.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Gretzky led them with over 200 points that season, and this was the third time in his career, and only one person has achieved that in NHL history.
Yeah.
It was no contest when they beat the Flyers. They beat them 4-1 in the Stanley Cup Finals. They won multiple Stanley Cups during the 80s, but this one is considered by many as the greatest of those teams.
Of those, yes.
So,
and I imagine the folks that know these things, they may say there may be a team of the Oilers that may be better than this one, but everybody's like, well, let's just pick what's largely considered the best of that. And you think of what Gretzky meant. I'm not sure how long after this did he move to LA? Were you there?
He moved to LA in 99, I believe.
99?
So he was there.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, I'm sorry, not 99, not 99, 89.
89.
89.
Yeah. So he went to yeah, because that was a huge deal. Because he could have.
Wait a minute. Maybe it was 99. I might have to look that up.
Yeah, I got it here. Yeah, it's something that you can't. I think they changed the rules, the Gretzky rule as well. You're looking at 88. So not
88.
Yeah,
I knew it was a double number. So 1988. Okay.
So it's not too terribly long after that did he go to LA and help boost hockey in LA. Because after a while, how much, I guess in theory, how much can you do Northern Alberta?
You know what? Even though I know that like the Kings, they didn't like really win yet until like, I think the 2000s, but I remember hockey being very, very popular, rising up in popularity when Gretzky moved to LA. They made such a huge deal out of him coming to LA. It was just after the Lakers won in 88, and the Dodgers had won the World Series that same year. It was the city of champions, and people were talking about how like even in hockey, we're going to get a championship soon. We have Wayne Gretzky. So and he led them to like the conference finals, I believe, or close to it, but they hadn't won yet. But that was, for me, that was the beginning of the popularity of hockey.
Yeah, I think so too. It's so, and think 400 goals. They play 82 games in those. Quick math, whatever it is. I mean,
that's a lot.
Hey, I don't, because they changed the blue line rule in hockey. I think changed the I think it's the offsides rule.
The offsides rule
in NHL now. It's been some years after the strike season. So you're getting to, and a big part of it was more goals. I mean, there was a lot of 1-0 games. I recall that. And now there's tons of scoring. It feels like in hockey now. But you think in them days to score 2 goals 3 goals a game, a match, whatever. It's incredibly difficult to do. Incredibly difficult to do. So man, that is one that may, if the right guys join the bracket, that may be one that has a lot of running room in this tournament.
I think so because I mean
Oh my word.
when you think about them being like one of the best dynasties in hockey, and you think about this season, it a lot of people are going to go like, yeah, this is the greatest hockey team ever
Maybe
in
the greatest hockey team ever
history.
assembled. Yeah.
They're gonna yeah
But
they're probably gonna say that a lot. So
oh yeah, yeah. I don't
I
know.
wouldn't doubt it.
Hey, has anybody? I'd have to look. I have to do some real thinking. Has anybody really captured the imagination like the Oilers teams in the '80s in them days? So excellent,
I
excellent.
can think of maybe not in
Maybe
the
the
'80s, but
'80s.
I can think of some other hockey teams that
Okay, okay,
at least captured my imagination.
okay.
But
All right, good deal.
we'll see. We have more
We'll see.
hockey. Don't worry.
We got
Don't
more
worry,
hockey. We got
people.
more for you. All right, so I'm
So
gonna mix it up a little bit here.
number 6, yes, go
Number
for it.
number six today. I'm gonna go with a team that did not win the championship, but
Let's do it.
still could win our championship. And
Right.
2016 Golden State Warriors of the NBA. I'm
Let's talk
telling you now.
about it.
I don't even have to read the synopsis, but what I'm telling
Go
you now,
for it.
24 game winning streak. They won the championship the previous year. Steph, I call him Steph, the old German way. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, the Splash Brothers in their prime, scoring 100 points plus pretty much every game of the streak. What is it? They won 74 or 73 games? 73 and 9, rather.
73.
73 and 9, which beat the Bulls, and Bulls were 72 wins, I think. Which is also, I think, in this tournament. See, who knows? They could get drawn, maybe not regionally, but who knows? So we're talking a team that I think they broke pretty much every win record, points record. Steph Curry was the unanimous MVP of this year, the only one at that point. I don't know if anyone's come since. So think of Jordan.
No, he's still the only one.
Only one. Jordan, Magic. You got all the stuff with LeBron, the greatest of all time. You got all these other guys. Wilt. None of them got unanimous, but Steph Curry, a man who was my height, and that's awesome. And and then the kicker is they ended up losing in Game 7 to the Cavs. And if I recall correctly, this was when Draymond Green got himself suspended for a game for being for
outrageous.
Yeah, overly doing it. And some people call it the stimulus package that they gave to the Cavaliers because it was going the wrong way.
Outrageous call by the commissioner.
By the commissioner to suspend in I know Draymond had then and still continues to push the envelope. And it's something where but I'm thinking, I don't think I've ever seen, and now there's a lot of people that recently saw this, ever seen a team that dominant over the course of a season. It's hard. Maybe, and again, you got to go back to that Bulls team that won 72. I'm thinking for basketball, NBA that's that dominant. Yeah, go ahead, man.
This was the greatest show on a court that I had ever seen since the Lakers. Like, I wasn't a fan. Okay, I wasn't a fan of the Warriors. Okay,
who was? But they were still in Oakland back then, I think, right?
Yeah, they were still in Oakland at that time.
Look at what the franchise went from there. I mean,
but the thing was, for me, they were a different looking team. They had speed, they had shooting, they had defense. They didn't look like the other teams in the NBA at that time. They were, I mean, even starting in 2015. They were fast. They knew how to roll off of picks. Trying to keep up with Steph was a job in itself. You needed an extra man out there just to keep up with him and Klay. They couldn't. They just couldn't do anything. They would catch the ball and they would shoot it, and it would just automatically go in as if the gods said, "Here, I got this." And it was so unbelievable. And you always think, well, when you have teams like that who are so dominant on offense, that's all they are. They're just an offensive team. No, they had an outstanding defense.
Yeah.
an outstanding defense
And I think having
during this time.
Draymond then being that tougher, I mean, really the team leader in all reality, in my thought, I always thought he was the heart and soul of the team was Draymond. I still think that is, that's why,
Yeah, you can say that. You
I
can
think
say
it's the heart
that.
and soul of the team. And the fact that if you want to take Steph out, just know Draymond's coming. And so
Right.
you need to have that balance, the yin and the yang. You got Draymond, who we don't know if he's always there. And then you got the super cool Steph Curry that can shoot from the half court line. And then Klay Thompson was shooting then. Like just so it was like so you had to choose who you guarded. You
And
can't
and and you have to understand, even in that year, it wasn't the Splash Brothers weren't just Clay and Steph.
no, it was
Draymond was
not.
putting up Draymond
Draymond.
was putting up numbers too. So he was part of the Splash Brothers at that time. You had a three-headed monster. And it like I said, I wasn't a fan, but I wasn't a fan of the Chicago Bulls either.
Oh, not at the time.
I
Yeah, at the
Yeah,
time.
I got behind them when I really wanted them to win, or actually I wanted someone else to lose, like Utah. I was like, come on, Jordan, just make these bastards lose. I was a fan then, but I wasn't like a fan, you know. I
Yeah,
have my teams already. But this team turned that around for me. Like
yeah,
I am a Warriors fan now. I
yeah.
like them. They're
And,
still
and, and just absolutely, just because we're talking 2015, 2016 Warriors, this is
mhm.
before Kevin Durant joined the team.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's 2016. We're talking about the year they won the championship. You say
Right.
2016, it's Kevin Durant, man. It's even better. What are you talking about? They won,
It,
but I think, and that's why it was such a huge controversy, as the British would say, when Kevin KD joined that team. It's like they just won 70. What in the world are you doing? You're not gonna get any respect um, by
you
joining
know what's you
that
know what's
dominant.
weird though? You know what's weird though? You look at certain champions, and
Mm-hmm.
who wouldn't? You look at like
Oh,
across the field, who wouldn't want to be on a championship caliber team? I don't really I don't really mind that Kevin Durant wanted to be on that team. I kind of mind people, like
yeah.
Draymond and
Well,
whoever asking him to come to the team. But it's not that, for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. Maybe it's just because I wanted to see them win.
oh,
Or
yeah.
maybe I just wanted to see
You just see
LeBron
how good
lose.
can it
I don't
be.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, it wasn't that big. I know it is big. I understand it. But just to see that 2016 team was just amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Draymond getting suspended for a game
Oh, yeah.
was
It's the only
that
reason.
that was a trap. That was
Yeah.
a travesty. I've
It
never
would be
seen that
horrible.
before in my life.
Yeah.
Like
Even if they
like
just spend him for a half, I think
suspend them for
I'm
next year.
cheering. Or next
No,
year. Kick
yes,
him out for the
suspend
first
them
two
for the
weeks.
first game of next year.
First
You
game of
don't
next year, or the
suspend.
first week of next year, you're still in Cancun.
Yeah, you don't suspend someone for something that was clearly the other person's fault. Yes, he was reacting to it. I get it. He
Yeah.
reacted in a way that maybe you shouldn't react, but it wasn't all him.
Yeah.
And you're going to suspend them. If you're going to suspend someone, suspend them for the next year. You don't suspend someone in the middle of a finals. That is just to,
Yeah.
you know, that. Anyway, I don't want to talk
And,
about it.
and
I
we
don't
go
want
on
to.
forever. And then we got to make sure we give shout outs to Andre Iguodala, Ke-
Yes.
Kevin Green, Kevin Green, Draymond Green made all defensive first team. Andre Iguodala, second
Yes.
place man of the year as well. Steve Kerr, coach of the year also. So, and then this was a team that built it through the draft as well. Uh,
Exactly. That was the
about
main thing I liked
the
about
main
this
thing.
team.
And then if you want to talk legacy, um, it may have been before that season, but the way everybody in the YMCA's, all the kids, they're shooting up threes, they're just practicing threes like Steph and Clay. And you look at Caitlin Clark now, I'm not gonna get into that, you get too much, but you look at, she's doing what Steph is doing. But of course, in the women's game, and everyone's freaking out about it. It's one of those things. The legacy, I think, the Warriors, Steph, Clay in particular, at that time, that team in particular as well. I think, yeah, they didn't win the championship, but man, it's going to be hard to beat. I'd love to see them versus '87 Lakers. We'll see how early if that gets in to see what people think. But the California
Yeah.
NorCal versus SoCal, see what happens.
Oh man. Okay.
All right, let's
Let's
go.
let's get to let's get to the
Whose turn is
next
it?
one.
Mine or yours? We can move along on that one.
It's my turn, I believe.
Okay, cool, cool,
Yes.
cool, cool.
So I'm looking. I know I wanted to talk about one team. You gave me a
Mhm.
great idea when you brought that one up. Yeah, there it is. So let's talk about the 2007 New England Patriots. Man,
Oh,
let's talk about it. so
go for it, man. Talk about it. We're gonna
so
talk about it.
so the background. This is the first team to ever finish the season with a perfect 16-0 record,
Mm,
the most in any regular season ever.
mm.
Tom Brady and Randy Moss were both setting records left and right.
God, yeah.
Brady threw for over 4,800 yards in a single season, and he had a record 50 touchdowns.
Wow.
And Randy Moss, he caught 23 of those touchdowns, which was another single season record. The goal was to finish 19-0. They were 18-0 going into the Super Bowl, going against the New York Giants, which we will talk about later. But they fell one short of their goal, losing
Yeah.
17-14 to the Giants.
Yeah.
So
A helmet caught a football, and the Patriots.
he said a helmet caught the
Yeah,
football.
it's this team, the 2000, they were scoring like how college teams score, where it's so lopsided in college football because there ain't but a handful of college teams that have all the best players on their team.
Right.
So therefore,
And this
that's
was an NFL team.
those guys they're gonna win 90% of their games by 30 points or something like
Right.
that. The NFL is not built like that. For those that aren't NFL fans, you win, you get the worst players options to choose from in the draft the next year. The money is the same, the salary cap's the same for everybody. You can only spend within a certain range of money no matter who you are. And Tom Brady was a what, seventh round, sixth round, 199 draft pick. He ended up being the main guy got hurt. He ended up being
Yes.
all this. This is 6 years prior. Brady, okay, he's already looks like going to be the greatest of all time already. And then Randy Moss had some, was it legal issues or just issues in general with his previous team?
Now he
That
didn't have any legal issues. He just had like a few issues
just it lackluster,
with
just
the
didn't
team.
do well. Something went wrong with the Raiders. I think it was. Was it the Raiders? Yeah, yeah, it
No,
was
I
the
thought it
Raiders.
was
The Raiders.
was
Yeah,
it the Raiders?
he was with the
He
Raiders
went
before
well,
that.
he was with the
He was
Vikings.
the Vikings for the big bulk of his career, but he
Right.
got traded around. I think
That's right. He
got to
did
the
get traded
Raiders
from
having
the yeah,
issues. I don't know. John Gruden was coaching in Oakland then, but
you're
that
right. That's right. Mm-hmm.
and so they were able. And what the Patriots and Belichick started doing was getting these problem children on the cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Brady said they moved Brady's locker next to Randy Moss's locker, or whatever, vice versa. And Brady did his leadership thing, and now they're scoring touchdowns for fun. They score for fun.
You know, it's very like wild when you put it that way because I mean, yeah, I remember those stories as well that
Yeah.
you know, you almost say it's like, you know, Brady's holding his hand or it's like, no, it's like sometimes you just need that little extra push from someone and you need that person who is a true leader to
Yes.
kind of get you
Yes.
reset,
Yes.
because in any sport, the bigger you get, the more popular you are, the bigger your head's going to get, and the
Yes.
money's coming in, and things can just happen all the time, and you don't have anyone that's going to hold you down, and keep you grounded, keep you humble, and for this year it worked. It was like Brady had him, and he was like, "Look, do this, and I'll get you a ring," and it was happening.
It was magic.
It was magic. I remember that season. I was like, someone's actually going to do it.
I mean,
And
absolutely. And it didn't and hit out. and freaking Eli Manning and the Giants. I mean, I'm like, okay, yeah, those guys are going to get sacrificed out there. And no, they messed around and lost the game. And we were cheering against them. I remember it was at a house party. It was one of them black Super Bowl parties where the
I
DJ
want
played music, so there's nothing, so we couldn't hear the game the whole time. And we lost our minds. We were hugging and everything when the
I wanted the Patriots to win.
yeah,
I
going
really
back,
did.
I wish they did win.
I
I want to
wanted to
see
see a
a perfect season.
perfect season, okay? Like you're never going to really see that in football. Even though it's, 17, 18, 19 games, you think,
There's no way.
it could be
There's no
easy.
way.
No,
Yeah,
it's not easy at all.
the
So I wanted to see it again. Again, another Boston team, and I'm like,
ugh,
damn
yeah,
it, why am I rooting for them?
yeah,
Shit.
you keep winning out
And
there.
I wanted to see it. So
And I remember one thing, and then we'll go to the next one, or oh wait, gotta give shout outs. I mean, look at the guys who are on this team. Mike Vrabel, uh, uh,
mhm.
you got Vince Wilfork, the big man. You had, and they made Wes Welker look an All Pro.
The tiniest man I ever seen in football.
Is anybody talking about Wes Welker today? No shade on him. I'm sure he's a great guy and he saves orphans on the weekends. But is anyone talking about Wes Welker right now?
Do
They
you
made him
think
an All Pro.
do you think he will get into the Hall of Fame?
Wes Welker?
Yeah.
Nowhere near, not first ballot. I got to look at when he's retired. Um, so he's our age. Oh, okay, he's born 81. I didn't know he was that old. Yeah, so undrafted. He last played in 2015. I don't think it's gonna be. He'd have been eligible. 2019 is 2020.
2019, yeah.
So it's already been 10 years almost. I don't know if he's gonna get in. It would be
Okay.
one of those years that there's not that many guys, but it's gonna be tough. And I do remember one thing about that game. We're always reminiscing on these is when the Ravens had them to stop the perfect season. Baltimore had them, and I think they had the stop, but the coach called the timeout just as the play
Mm.
was about to start. You know, the things they do that sometimes just to see
Yeah,
what
yeah, of
formation
course.
they're going to run. But the play kind of ran and the Ravens stopped them. But it turned out they called timeout. And I remember Ray Lewis and those guys like looking so dejected, like, oh, we had them. And then, of course, the Patriots started anyway. And I think that was like the only game that was competitive. Maybe there was one other one. Like, because the Ravens were a heck of a team then, too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool, man. So
Ah,
2000 didn't win the championship, but could win the bracket.
right.
It
It could happen.
happen. It could happen. Anything can happen. All
All
right,
right.
let's. So my
Number
turn.
8.
Oh
Yes.
man, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stay with football a little bit. Go to my past a little bit. The staying in California. The San Francisco 49ers of 1989.
Oh,
Mm,
man.
mm. I
Now
never
for
want to
all
see the
now
Denver
for all
Broncos
you for
lose.
all you 49er haters, you're really not gonna like this segment here. So
Oh, okay. All right. We don't go too long. There we go. Some people call them the best team ever, and we're gonna find out in the
true.
hall. Uh,
True. It's true.
the regular season was 14-2, outscored the playoff opponents. That can't be right. 126-26 in
Yeah.
three playoff games, two season losses. Both losses were by a combined point total of 5. Joe Charles, Haley, Ronnie Lott. Oh my gosh. NFL has set high records everywhere. This is the years they had Jerry Rice, Joe
Yeah.
Montana,
Read
uh,
all of those names.
Craig, John Taylor. I mean, they won the Super Bowl. They beat the brakes off the Broncos 55-10. I remember it well because I was living in Cleveland and we hated the Broncos. They kept beating the Browns to get into the Super Bowls. And they were messing
That's
up
right.
John Elway's legacy. All I loved every minute of it. It it's 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 one of those things. Bill Walsh, I think, was the coach then. No,
Bill Walsh was
no, he was in Miami,
not the
wasn't
coach. It was George Seifert.
George
He
Seifert.
took
George
over.
Seifert.
He took
Yeah,
over
the
George.
man, the
Yeah.
man with the shades. Yeah, the man with the dark
Yes.
shades. Yes, yes.
Hmm.
And Carolina got fired in 1 year. But yeah, so you got the 89 49ers. That's mouth is a bit of a tongue twister. You just can't beat it. But this is your boys. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so I've always been a Niners fan since I would say since their 84 Super Bowl win. Um, they're just an awesome team. Like, how can you hate Joe Montana?
Oh, you can't.
There's nothing literally wrong with him and his play, his
Uh,
demeanor, just everything. So and again, I know people are probably saying to me, "Oh, you just got on bandwagons." No, I was 8. Okay,
mhm.
there's nothing I can do but get on
Yeah, I
bandwagons
agree with your
because
team. Yeah,
you're 7, 8, 9,
yeah,
10 years old when you're seeing these teams. So yeah, when I saw them, I immediately fell in love with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and John
mhm.
Taylor, but I really loved Roger Craig the most. I don't
Okay.
know why. Um, I was always drawn towards the running backs at that time for some
Okay.
reason
Yeah.
because they looked so they looked like gladiators. I think that's
Oh
what it
yeah.
was to me. They
They had
looked like
really big
gladiators.
pads those days.
They had the
They had a
biggest
big pad.
pads.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah, and you see them, they're like running through, they're running through the big, defensive line and everything. Marcus Allen, he was another big,
yeah.
I was another big fan of his, and at the
Mhm.
same time. So yeah, I was really into running backs, in the early days. So I loved Roger Craig,
Mm.
and yeah, I remember the year before when they played Cincinnati, how close of a
Oh,
game it was,
that was
and
tight against the
it
Bengals.
was it, it was such a
Oh,
good it was such a good game. I was getting nervous,
oh,
like I was
I
nervous at
remember
that
that.
time.
Early
But
memory. Yeah.
but when I was a kid, when you're a kid, you want guarantees. You don't want to be sweating. You don't, kids shouldn't be going through tension and stress. Okay, not at 9, 10 years old. So I was well, I was like 12 or 13 at this time.
Okay.
Um, I liked the blowouts. I liked, the games where,
Oh, yeah.
you just like, I don't have to worry of
Uh-huh.
someone coming back. Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
see it.
Oh, yeah.
And when it came to the playoffs, I was like, that's right, blow them out. Yeah,
Mhm.
again, blow them out. I love it.
Yes.
I'm looking at all of it. I love every minute of it. And yeah, that was for me, that was one of the greatest Super
Excellent.
Bowls I ever saw because
Excellent.
I
Yeah.
love the blowouts.
They blew them out. And it was like the NFC was on a run, beating the heck out of the AFC. Some
Yep.
Bills were not long after that. They didn't stand a chance. Then down
Mhm.
the line, and they added Deion Sanders for a year. I think they won again then.
Yeah, in
Steve Young, I think, was
94.
providing. Yeah, 94. I mean, we're not going off of all those for this bracket, but you just think about the Niners in general. But yeah, that particular season, I didn't realize the scores were that lopsided. It's similar to that Patriots 2007 year. You're like, it's just not designed for that. The system doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then you got Jerry Rice, who I think made ESPN did a top 100 athletes of all time and had him number one, I believe. I don't know if they've redone that since. This is years ago they did this. I don't know if they've redone that since then.
I no, I remember that. And
Yeah, they had him number one.
I was very much like, yeah,
Yeah.
he deserves it because he had done things that no other wide receiver had ever done.
Oh yeah.
And the longevity of it too,
Oh yeah.
So I was always,
And I think
into that.
absolutely. And I think one more thing from legacy was this when the West Coast offense really became a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think of the legacy of this on top of that. I don't know if they talk West Coast offense anymore like
Well,
that.
no, West Coast offense is pretty much the standard now
It's a
in the
standard. It's like the
NFL.
spreading
Like
out on the ball,
yeah,
not that 3 yards in a cloud of dust stuff. It's
exactly. That's the standard now.
it
Like
used to be the legacy.
when you think about like the other offenses, that were put together. Like for example, the run and shoot. Some of them had legs, some of them didn't. The West Coast offense just had legs, and it
Mm.
just lasted until it became like the norm about what 5, 6 years ago,
Oh yeah.
maybe even a little bit longer. So, this
Oh,
is the squad that you think for that.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, cool, man. We can go about this one all day, I think. But yeah, you wanna
Yeah.
go hit the next one, man. Yeah, go on. Make sure
You
you
know
mark it.
what?
We can
I'm
be having too
going.
much fun now. I'm gonna forget what I talked about.
I'm going to give a little Midwest love on this one
Sure, sure,
because
sure.
even though I have something to say about it too, but this one is definitely for y'all. Let's go with let's go with someone in college basketball. We haven't
Ooh,
dived into the
I haven't done that
college
one yet. I don't think we've done that one
part
yet.
yet. Yeah. So the first one that I'm going to dive into, it might be obvious to some of y'all, but maybe it isn't. The 1979 Michigan State Spartans.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Yeah.
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 Pinch for my time, but yeah. Oh yeah.
Before my time too, but hey, we can still talk
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
what we're here for. We're here to learn as well.
It is still to this day the most watched college basketball game ever, but the Spartans had a great season first. This team was led by Greg Kelser and, of course, Irvin Magic Johnson. The record was 26-6 going into the tournament, but they were not a number one seed, but Magic had a date with destiny. He led his team as a sophomore past
This
Lamar
Magic Johnson.
University.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he
Yeah.
passed led them past Lamar, LSU, Notre Dame, and Pennsylvania
Mm.
to play the number one seed and the undefeated um, Indiana State team. I can't remember their.
Even
I
what's
can't. I
I
can't
think
remember
it,
their.
it's
What is
the
it?
I think they changed it. Oh, because they got the guy that's there now. I'll look it up. I'll look it up while we're talking. Yeah, go for
Okay,
it.
but Indiana State led by Larry Bird. So while Magic's team
Sycamores.
dominated,
Sycamores.
it was still just a preview of what basketball fans would get in the NBA from these two. It's one of the best seasons ever uh, by a team that was actually there because of one man, Magic Johnson. So, even though it's before our time, we can still talk about it. We can still talk about its significance towards that area.
Because Magic said he got one over on the greatest basketball player on the planet when he beat
Mm-hmm.
his team, beat Larry Bird's team, the Sycamores, Indiana State
Sycamores, thank you.
Sycamores,
That's it.
Sycamores, the Sycamores in that final, and they were number one seed as well. People that don't know, there's four number one
Yeah.
seeds. This is just like kind of what we're doing now, and then regionals and all that. So, you look at that, and they took that road show from the NCAA to the NBA. And that's when the NBA really took off to work its way towards what we now know as this big global juggernaut thing. Because the NBA was on the finals were on tape delay in those days.
Yep.
Until Magic and them and Bird that got going. And this is what set it off. And with Michigan State winning, yeah, I think it does make it a candidate for potentially the best single sports season.
Yeah, because this team basically, I'm not going to say it's just Magic, and I can't even really say
No,
it's Magic
no.
and Bird. But when you're talking about, the teams itself, this team helped the NBA get relaunched and go global because of who was on that team.
Absolutely.
But it was still a team effort. It was still a bunch of guys who made Magic look good, and he made them look good in the process. And you also think about the people that came out of that area, the Michigan,
Yeah,
Chicago,
yeah, Midwest,
Indiana area,
really
you
rough.
know,
Or
you know, those players, they really needed to like prove themselves. And Magic and the Michigan State team were like inspiration to them.
yeah,
And again, the most watched college basketball game ever.
yeah, absolutely. And five guys,
Still,
I think they
still,
still beat. Yeah.
still.
So the Caitlin Clark, South Carolina, the Iowa Soccer didn't even beat it, huh? Oh no, I don't think it did. I don't think it got close. We'd have heard if it did. Yeah,
I know someone was saying that that game with LSU, or no, the UConn game.
UConn.
I think someone said that game was the most watched in however many years. I
I
don't know
mean,
if it was the
but
most watched ever,
not this one we're talking.
but as far as I was concerned, doing the research, at the time that I did the research, it still was the most watched college game ever.
Absolutely. And they have
So
five
yeah,
guys drafted in the NBA out of a team, ain't but 12 on a team, and
right.
five drafted in the NBA. Two in the first round, Greg Kelser, Magic Johnson, brother
Mm-hmm.
Jake Benson in the second round, Ron Charles in the fourth round. Back in the days, they had multiple rounds like that. And Mike Berkovich in the eighth round to the Bucks. I didn't know they had 8 rounds back then.
They had
Okay.
8 rounds in the NBA. God,
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's more
I
than eight. Yeah.
thought.
Because they didn't have a G League. I'm like, how does that work? You ain't got 12 roster spots and you got 8 rounds. So you're
Okay.
assuming 8 guys are going to leave. I mean, after that point, but whatever. The thing is, hey, it's really, it's really something we can't understate the importance and how awesome of a season that was and what that led to us having the conversation. We talked about the Lakers. If you go back early in the video or in one of the previous cuts about the Lakers versus the Celtics, this was the precursor to that. That
Exactly.
and we may be seeing, hopefully, inshallah, I say we're seeing a replay of it with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and some of them that is a
Yeah, I
league,
was.
professional league
Uh,
is struggling, and the college game has this ball breaker couple of teams, and the players there are superstars, and they go to the pro and do and mimic the same thing. I'm hoping we see that as well.
I honestly was glad that you said something because I didn't know if I was going to address it, but I
Yeah,
hope it happens
I
too.
hope it happens
I
too.
would I would love to see I would love to see them. I would love to see the press, the media actually work that angle because
Do
that
it.
will
Do
that
it.
will bring in people. Having this person over here, Caitlin Clark, who's been shining in college
Do her
basketball, and you
thing.
have Angel Reese over here, who's one of the people that beat her,
Yes.
in the finals, and she's so dominant and she's so out there and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, pit them together.
Do it
They
again.
need it.
You need
The,
it.
you need it.
Do it.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna look if you do that.
you got to do it. And I think it's something that you look at it and one of the things that's interesting is I guess now they play different positions, but you got Cardoso, the Brazilian young lady. She's the one that beat Caitlin Clark's team the second year.
Right.
Uh, so now you got two of them together on the same team in Chicago, and they're playing Indiana Fever, Indianapolis. I don't know what is that, 2 hour drive, max.
Mm-hmm.
So so that sounds like that's fun. I would have liked them to maybe have been on the coasts as well, more money on the coast, but hey, whatever works. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. We
They'll
gotta
do
go to the
it.
next
They
team, I
better do
guess,
it.
right? How many more teams we got to go on in this session?
We're
Maybe so
a
far.
little more than halfway done, so we're
Okay.
at number
Okay.
10.
All right, number
No,
10. All right. So here's what
number
I'm gonna
10.
do. I'm gonna get people riled up. Since we
Ooh.
saw Michigan State, we're gonna talk
Uh-huh.
about the Wolverines of 1993 and the Fab Five.
Oh
That's my Southerners.
yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
freshman.
I,
They-
I
Oh,
was wondering if we were going to hit that one
yeah,
for
yeah.
this one.
We got to talk about it. Yeah, yeah. Are we gonna
Go
Michigan,
for it.
Michigan State? Could that be in the bracket? We're gonna find out.
It could be. It could
So
be.
they were freshmen. They brought their own style to college basketball. They wore black socks, which I don't think people did then. They wore longer shorts, which I don't think people did then. And
No.
they talked trash and backed it up. Now people did talk trash, but I don't know if they talked trash. We picked the '93 season because it changed. We think, and I'm sure we're not alone. This changed what basketball ended up being.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Jawan Howard, Jimmy King, and Ray Jackson. They made it to the championship game, losing to Duke, and then they lost their second game to North Carolina. I remember vividly watching that game. 93 and more in Storville because people really came after them. They were endured. They powered through. lost in the final moments of that game in '93. I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had
Oh, oh.
started to become a Carolina basketball fan, and I remember the timeout that Chris Webber called when they didn't have one. Ball goes back to Carolina, and Carolina wins the game. It it similar. It's like it's a shame.
It is.
Carolina as I am, it's a shame those boys back then
Well,
did not win the whole enchilada.
it's one of those. It's one of those teams where you're like, oh, what could have been?
What could have
You
been?
know, but they were so dynamic on
Yeah.
and off the court that, like, yeah, the Black Sox thing, that was something that no one did. Like, why are you? If you wore Black Sox back in '92, people thought you were someone's uncle.
Yeah, church socks. They call them, we call them church
Yeah.
socks. Well, you were in
Why
the
are you
church.
in your
Why
why are you in
why
your
you in the
church
church socks?
socks and shorts, right? Why are you in church socks and your
Socks.
shorts? Get back in the house.
Mm.
But they did it and they pulled it off and it looked good. And then the long shorts, they looked good. Like the shorts had been getting a little bit long by then, but they went all out. They said, no, we're not going to do it by a couple of centimeters. You know, they were kind of going down tiny, tiny bit, but they went all the way to the knees,
Yes.
and the baggy shorts era was born with them. And this was the first team. This was the first hip hop team.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yes, yes.
This was like people talk about, Allen Iverson being, like the first hip hop, era player. Even Shaquille O'Neal. No, it was this team. This team was the first.
This was it. This was the one.
This was the first
Absolutely.
hip hop team that you can that anyone ever saw. So they definitely changed the game as far as looks. They changed the game as far as like play. They played just a little bit fast. They played faster and tougher than a lot of teams at that time. So it's a it's a good one to think about. The
Yeah,
Michigan
the season.
Fab Five.
Absolutely. And then just looking at some stats here, you talk in some history. Four of them were in the '91 McDonald's All-American game, which is still a big deal. The best high school players.
Mm-hmm. And I think that,
all end up going to the same school.
yeah,
It's yes, you got the hip hop team, you got all the smack talk. It's really something that and you start to think, when did all this really happen? When did we start seeing baggy shorts? When did we start seeing all the trash talk? And when did we start seeing all this? It was this team here. Because you think of what Duke was and Carolina were back in them days, they were ruling the roost, and they're very, very hoity-toity and upright, and you shaved your head close and all that stuff. So it's really, really an amazing season. I think there's been, I don't know how many documentaries, specials, books. I'm sure there's probably I'm sure there's some dramatizations been made by now of the fact.
mm-hmm.
I don't think any of the only I think only one won an eventual NBA title. But you're looking at a team that just the legacy of it changed everything. And yeah, and it was only because of an error timeout that they did not win that championship against Carolina that year. This is
You
technical
felt
foul.
so you
You felt
felt
bad.
so bad for Chris
I still
when he
remember
did
his
that.
facial expression when he called it. What
Yeah.
he called it? Did this. Oh,
I
oh,
felt so bad for him. I
ouch.
wasn't even I wasn't even mad at him because I'm not a big Michigan fan, but
Oh, no.
I was rooting for them actually. But you felt so bad for him. It's like,
Oh,
uh,
oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's like you can't.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You
It's
can
hard.
still see it in you can still
Still
see it
see
in
it.
your mind. Yeah,
I can still see it. I can still see
yeah,
it. So the Fab Five, potentially the greatest season of all time.
yeah.
Potentially.
We can see
All
it.
right. All right, go
All
for
right,
it, man. Let's keep
number
it going.
11.
All
Moving
right.
on. Let's go back to baseball.
Oh, good.
1995 Atlanta Braves.
Oh boy. The chop. Talk about the race.
So I'm just gonna list some names here for
Yeah,
you
just
people.
I mean,
Okay.
geez,
So let's start with this.
Bravos.
Greg Maddux.
Mm,
Greg Maddux.
mm.
Tom Glavine.
Oh, the glad.
John Smoltz.
Oh,
Chipper Jones. Mark
Larry.
Wohlers.
Mm,
David Justice. Fred McGriff. If you was if you followed baseball in the 90s, you knew all of these
all
names,
of
and
it.
they all belonged to one team, the Atlanta Braves. Yeah, they ruled the 90s. They had a one of a kind bullpen.
Oh yeah.
They also had great hitters like David Justice and Fred McGriff.
Mm-hmm.
But their championship didn't come until '95.
That's right.
Greg
Right.
Maddux,
Only one, I think, that whole team got. Yeah.
pretty much, yeah, that was yeah, I think it was only one as
There's only
well.
one.
Um, Maddox posted a ERA of 1.63 that season, winning his fourth consecutive Cy Young Award, and he finished third in the MVP race. And Glavine, who also had a 1.29 ERA, he was given the World Series MVP. So this team of the 90s got their ring by beating Cleveland 4-1. And I'm telling you, this was another team that just kind of really caught my eye. And it was for pitching of all things.
Yeah, pitching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you think about a bullpen, like some of the greatest bullpens ever,
Oh yeah.
this is the team that you think about. That three-headed monster of Glavine, Maddux, and Smoltz. I don't think you've ever seen anything like it before or since.
And we
So go ahead.
rode the Bobby Cox as manager. I mean, I'm talking going back to when I went to Georgia Tech in 2002, 2004. They were still kicking butt.
Mm-hmm.
Where they lost some plays, started losing plays. Chipper Jones was still there. They call him Larry and all that stuff. And
By
they
the
kept,
way, that was his rookie season,
mm, and
95.
talk about how I remember they lost some players, and people say, "Well, the Braves man did anything." What? And I remember, never forgot it. I said, "Is Bobby Cox the manager?" And they said, "Yes." Okay, there's nothing to worry about. Okay, let me know when he's not the manager, and then we can start talking. Oh, maybe they need to trade guys and rebuild and all that stuff. The Braves in those years, I think they won the NL East every year for like a decade or something ridiculous like that.
I think it was 7 years in a row.
Seven,
I want to say
seven in a
seven.
row. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I remember
I could be wrong,
Mets couldn't
but
touch him. It seemed like the Mets could never get him.
mm-mm.
But however, it's really something going back to that '95 year. Yes, you just couldn't be stopped. And Greg Maddux and those commercials, Chicks Dig the long ball and all that. Oh, just it
That's
just
right.
couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't do anything to the Braves. That is just a juggernaut of a team. And yeah, the pitching was a huge part of that. It
I
wasn't
remember
the
those.
pitching.
I remember those commercials. The chicks
Oh
dig the
yeah,
long
Chicks
ball.
Dig the long ball.
Yeah,
I
this
wonder.
is another team. This is another team that is just in pop culture lexicon. Like when
Oh yeah,
you
yeah, pop
think
culture.
about it. Yeah. So
Absolutely. And yeah, and that was just before they had the Olympics in Atlanta the next year. Now I don't know. They said they
mhm.
won the World Series. The Olympics is going to have, pole vaulting and track Atlanta. But Atlanta was the hotness, right then at that
Atlanta.
time. But
This was
what was
Atlanta's. This was
yeah?
Atlanta's like
This is
boiling point.
eight.
This was when
Oh
everything.
boy,
You had the
oh
Atlanta
hot,
Braves. The Olympics was coming.
hot,
Freak
hot,
Nick.
hot, hot. So the ATL shouting, I mean, that's what it was all about. And so 95 with the Braves, I think that is a fantastic selection to bring
All
in.
right.
Okay,
Let's go to number 12.
let's go to
It's
12.
on you.
So I'm going to go back to where I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and get with the 1964 Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
So we're talking before the Super Bowl, and we're talking this is back, Baltimore, Green Bay, and Cleveland were the thing, but it's
Mm-hmm.
all about Jim Brown. I mean, I have two Jim Brown jerseys right now. It's and their offense and defense at a 10-3 record in the regular season, and blew out the Baltimore Colts to win 27-0 to win the NFL title, not the championship. I say
Hmm.
not the Super Bowl, because this is, I think it was Super Bowl came in, what was it, 60? No, in the merger.
67.
67, yeah. So
Yeah.
so just before the Super Bowl. So we're able to say, so people say this may be one of the best teams out there. And a big part of that is the super athlete, uh, who I think made top three, the ESPN best athlete of all time, whatever it was. Jim,
Hmm.
the man was the best running back out there and the best lacrosse player of all time, I think at the time as well. And just he just he was completely unstoppable. And I recall I was wearing a Jim Brown jersey at FAMU years later, of course. And one of my professors at BAM was like, "Hey, you should get up slowly. What are you gonna wear that?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "So when Jim Brown played, he would always get up slow after he got tackled, and he did that so the guys would never know if he was ever injured or not. And so he'd get up
Uh,
every time, because if he gets up fast, by the time he gets up slow, okay, we got him. He's injured. He's a little beat up. Now we're putting the hits on him. This is back in the days when that was kind of the intent, was to beat you up.
right.
and so and so he always got up slow, so they never knew that. They would never know if you're hurt or not. So I always remember they always get up slow. They'll never know when they got you.
I never knew that about
Oh
Jim
yeah.
Brown.
Oh, I know some sports
Okay.
knowledge. I know a thing or two about a thing or two.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that much about I don't know that much about the Cleveland Browns of the 60s, obviously. Again,
Yeah, yeah.
not before my, before
You'd
my
have to get
time.
my
And
father down, and he go on all day about it. But yes, Art Modell was the owner.
hmm.
Seven Pro Bowlers. They had a Pro Bowl back then.
Yeah.
You're looking at, of course, they beat the Colts, Baltimore Colts. I think that was Johnny Unitas's team, was it?
I don't
Uh,
think Johnny Unitas was there
no,
yet.
no. Don Shula was the head coach. How old is Don Shula? But Don Shula was the head coach. Oh my God. So I'm trying to remember who was the QB then? Gary Cusa. Oh, Johnny Unitas was
Yeah.
there. He was there. Yeah,
Oh, he
Unitas.
was? Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I was thinking, yeah, because I'm thinking, yeah, that was a big deal. I think that was Unitas's guys that got beat. So you're looking at, yeah, there it is. Yep. Yeah, they were, because Baltimore had Lenny Moore, John Mackey, and Unitas, all Hall of Famers to this day. And
Hmm.
it's really something that you just don't see it anymore. Jim Brown in the Hall of Fame. It's OMG. I'm looking at the Pro Bowl here. I think I have half the teams in the Pro Bowl. It's you just there's just nothing you could do about it. Completely unstoppable. It was a different era. You ran the ball hard, you ran the ball every play, all that other stuff. I think it was only the Colts and maybe the Jets. It was just the Jets only just it was some years before the shotgun became a thing and people
Hmm.
started throwing the ball down the field. And really that West Coast offense, talk about San Francisco 30 years later, like 20 years later, really got it going. But yeah, this is the 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and it was the 64 Browns that really put that thing to bed.
Nice. Okay, cool. I
Right.
like. All right, we're gonna move on to 13.
All right.
All right. And yeah, I think I wanted to change it up a little bit on this one. So I'm just gonna go ahead. Maybe there's some people out there they don't know this team,
Mhm.
and maybe there's people out there who do know it and they just never thought of it as one of the greatest teams of all times, but
Mhm.
we're gonna put it down. So and maybe if you were East Coast, you didn't know this much about this team either. But going back to college basketball,
Come on.
the 1990 Loyola Marymount Lions.
Mm. Mm.
Yes, so LMU.
LMU.
Man, look, if there was ever a team that captured the nation, it
Mm.
was this one. One of the most high octane teams ever in NCAA history. They were
Okay.
led by head coach Paul Westhead, and they created their light speed style game with two high school friends. And they're the ones who made that dream possible. So we're talking about Bo Kimball and we're talking about
Hmm.
Hank Gathers.
Yeah, there we go.
They led the country in scoring the 2 prior seasons, and in this season, they led with 122 points per game. Bo Kimball led the country in scoring with 35 points per game, while Gathers was right behind him at 33 points per game. But this was a season about tragedy and triumph. So going back during the conference tournament game, Hank Gathers, he scored on Portland. As he started running back, he suddenly collapsed on the court. He was rushed to the hospital and was later pronounced dead at the age of 23. So this was during their conference, what is it? The West Coast Conference championships.
Yes.
His death was due to a heart condition. And the team, although with heavy hearts, still made it to the NCAA tournament, and with little support for them to go far. But they surprised everyone with each game, with win after win in the tournament. Bo Kimball led his team, even shot free throws with his left hand to honor his fallen best friend.
Right. He shot it with the other hand. Yeah.
Yep, because Hank Gathers was a lefty.
That was that story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember ESPN. Yeah.
Sadly, they got stopped by the eventual champions UNLV in the regional finals. But everyone remembers their incredible run and their incredible style of play.
Oh, yeah.
So, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it is. It's that sentimental story. It's the fact that they made it that far. Now they did. This is probably the team so far that made it the least. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. They didn't make it as far in their respective championship. Right. Pretty much everybody else probably on the list. But you think when they got a shot with his left hand and everybody's crying and all that stuff. And of course, you got to remember what UNLV, who I think maybe find themselves in the bracket. We'll have to take a look as well. The running Rebels and how much juggernaut they were. Nobody was beating them boys usually. But you think about how they can play through that. And they're not the only ones that have ever done that. There's teams that had teammates pass away or tragedy or something and still do well. However, it's to make it that far and do that well, it's just one of those heartfelt stories. It just really works.
Excuse me. The thing that gets a lot of people is that Hank Gathers, he was such a dynamic player, right? And he was fast. He was very strong. He was one of those power players. You think of him as almost like a Larry Johnson type of a player.
Yes.
But he still had a lot of finesse too. He had a great jump shot. He had great mid-range jumper. But the thing that gets it, the thing that gets people is, he collapsed right there on the court. So, people saw it. It's one of those things that people saw, and no one knew what was going on. No one knew, what was really happening, at least the public. But another fact about it is that earlier that year, he had also collapsed during a practice. And it was kind of reported, but, people didn't really talk about it that much because they weren't really sure about, the condition, the heart condition that he had. And back then you couldn't diagnose it very well. So when it happened again, people were starting to get concerned because, this was the second time that it happened. And when you hear about it, it was one of those things. This was only the second story that I had heard of a college player like dying. The first one was Len Bias. And and that was like, a day after he got drafted. So this one, he collapsed. He died in the middle of March Madness and everything. And it was just so weird. It was just so weird to hear about this stuff. And then when they won that first game, people were like, yeah, they did it for Hank. They're doing, good for them. You know, they're getting through it. You know, you have something that heavy and you go and achieve, you know, this, you know,
Mm.
it's something that's kind of amazing. And then when they won the second game, you know, they got to the Sweet
Oh,
16. Everyone was like, "Oh, wait a minute, wow, they're really." And then they won the third game. People really was getting behind them. And I remember, you know, I just remember that whole season. It was just it was a very memorable season, and this was one of the reasons why.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's something where nobody would have said a word if they went ahead and just forfeited, withdrew themselves from the tournament somehow or something like that.
Hmm.
We just we can't get out. No one would have. It'd have been sad, probably they did that, but it would
Yeah,
have said a word, and they persevered, won a couple games, uh, ran into a juggernaut, but yeah, it's just man, it's that magic of that tournament that because it's hard to remember. A lot of they're still in college, they're still growing,
right,
they're not in their 30s and all that with mortgages and children and all that. So
right.
it's a heck of a time, a heck of a time, and a heck of a story.
It's the magic of the tournament. I'm glad you said that because this is what we're doing. We're gonna make
Well, we're doing
magic with this
green the
tournament.
magic. Regrade the magic, guys. Regrade the magic.
All right, number 14.
Cool. I'm gonna
Go.
keep going here. So let's stay in college. And
Okay.
just diversity in this thing. Keep it going. I know diversity is a naughty word now, but screw y'all. So we the 2001, my team, one of my favorite teams,
Uh,
2001 Miami Hurricanes
oh,
football. Probably one of the
oh,
most talented college rosters ever.
he
It
went to
was
the
essentially
U.
a pro team. We joked that they could have beaten the Cincinnati Bengals. We back then. Clinton Portis, Jeremy Shockey, Frank Gore, Willie McGinnis, Ken Dorsey throwing the rock, Andre Johnson of Texans fame down the line. It's it was an absolute massacre. Uh, 2,600 yards, 23 TDs for Dorsey. I know he didn't do as much in the pros. And then you had the defense. Everybody was held under 10 points. Nobody scored pretty much on this team. They won what was then called the BCS championship, 37-14 over against Nebraska, who back these days when Nebraska was Nebraska football wise. 17 first round draft picks on that team. 38 overall guys, 38 guys in all found their way to the NFL. The U, as we called it then. I was
The
a fan.
U. Yeah.
Man, Larry Coker was the coach. The man like Odo from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and it was just really a team to behold. Of those Miami teams, I think it was this one
You,
that really brought things home.
you can talk about it. Go ahead. You can talk.
Oh, okay, yeah, good, good. Because I mean, we're looking at here. I got to look at the roster a bit more here.
Yes.
I thought they had. No, he wasn't in there because it was still linebacker U. It felt like in those days with you. You're saying this is on the heels of I know Michael Irvin, those guys had already been come and gone, but
Hmm.
still Miami was such a juggernaut. Could have I think there was the year after that they lost one of those, lost that game to Ohio State, the other BCS game, but it's just a total runaway of a season, and and again, this is the time now in the BCS, for those that don't know that, they had voting and computers and things that would choose who would go to the finals. Because it just
Hmm.
used to be just go to a different bowl game your kind of conference went to, and then the newspapers voted on you. Then they started having a BCS, and now we've just now, 25 whatever years later, we have a playoff, a true playoff with more than four teams. So you're
Right.
looking um, that got voted in and just earned it every step of the way. There was no doubt about it. No doubt about it whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, look, they beat Nebraska, so
Maybe
whatever.
Nebraska. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
I know a lot of folks in West Coast don't care for Nebraska because the black that was for the black shirt. Then I think that was the last time Nebraska did anything.
yeah,
Um,
you know
I think
what?
that.
I don't even want to talk about it. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I think that may be it.
They were a bad team. Miami, you know, the U, whatever. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Number
yeah.
15.
I
We're
mean,
moving on. No, this is a very strong team. I give it to them. Like when you have 17 first round draft players,
I mean,
I mean, it's an NFL team. So
the NFL team. I mean, Alabama had what, 8 this last, like Bama in their heyday had at most what, 6 or 7, maybe 8 in the
yeah,
first
in the
round.
first round. I mean, that's a lot when you
And
think
that
about
was
it.
like we're still buzzing about that. These
Yeah.
boys.
So
Um, oh man, Vince Wilfork is on the team. I didn't even see that. Oh my God. Yeah.
you know what? I need something to cheer me up because
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't know you was gonna go there.
All
So
right, let's go there.
but so I'm gonna go to number 15, and I'm gonna throw another curveball. We gotta give some love to the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
and I have to start. I have to start with the 1998 Houston Comets from the
Okay.
WNBA.
Yes, sir.
So we got to talk about this. Given all the talk about the WNBA these days,
Yes.
it's hard to imagine that they had some pretty competitive teams and players. But in the early days, that it was just that competitive for second place.
That's right.
The number one team was by
No.
far head and shoulders above everyone,
Oh,
and that
five.
was the Houston Comets.
Oh my goodness,
The
yes.
inaugural season was the Comet season, but '98 was their coming out party. They had a 27-3 record, which still remains as the best record in WNBA history.
Mm-hmm.
Van Chancellor was a three-time Coach of the Year,
Mm-hmm.
and that is, I believe, the most in WNBA history as well. And it had one of the best starting fives you can imagine in
Mm-hmm.
women's basketball. Um, let's talk about Cheryl Swoops,
Oh, come on.
who was the first signee for Houston, the first, the very first overall number one pick, Tina Thompson.
Okay. Yeah, 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 that's right.
People forget
That's
about
right.
Tina. She was the very first number one pick in the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this little lady from USC who was eventually named Lady Jordan, Cynthia Cooper, who was two-time
Right.
MVP,
Yeah. Yep.
two-time league MVP, four-time finals MVP, and they just consistently won. They convincingly won the playoffs
Oh yeah.
4-1, and they beat the Phoenix Mercury 2-1.
Yes.
They were the first and only dynasty in the
That's it. That was it.
WNBA,
That was it.
winning the first four NBA titles. And
It's
this
three.
one
Okay. No,
was
I
the
knew it
greatest.
was 3. Oh, okay. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it was four. I know this because I worked for them at that
Oh, no
time.
doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
So
No doubt.
yeah,
Mm, mm, mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this team, look,
Oh,
I need people to understand this,
yeah.
okay?
Yeah. You got.
Because
Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead. Tell me. Tell
the WNBA, they have their problems. I I couldn't agree more that they need to do better. The players need to do better. The league needs to do better. Um, all this stuff that they talk about,
me.
with
Mhm.
salaries and wages and stuff like that, and they have an awesome thing. Look, we know why it's not working. You just need to fix it. We already talked about, Caitlin Clark and
Yeah.
Angel Reese, what you need to do with that. But look, in the beginning, people don't understand. In the beginning, the WNBA
Oh,
was on fire.
it was hot.
No, they didn't make any money because they put everything into promotion, into
Mm-hmm.
marketing, into whatever, just to, try and get people, riled up about it. And that first year that they were doing stuff, it was just, it was the novelty of it, you
Yes.
know. But that second year, look, the the Comets, they were averaging over 12,000 people
Mm.
attending their games, which was still second to, I believe, Detroit. I want to say it's Detroit. Um, but every time I was there, like I said, I worked for them for
Yeah.
years 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, you were there for during the heyday. Yeah.
I was there for during the
All
heyday.
that.
I would have been there for the first year, but I wasn't in Houston at the time. I hadn't moved back home yet. But 98, oh my God, it was so loud in the Compact Center. When they would get on the court and they would
Mm.
play, it was there was just something about it. It was something about the energy there. The fans were just rabid and ravenous. They love this team. And
Absolutely.
this team was built. Okay. You had Jeanette Arcane, you had Kim
Yes.
Perrott, you had Tina Thompson in the middle, Cheryl Swoops,
Yeah.
and everyone. I read something. I read something recently when I was doing the research, how the first commissioner or the first president of the WNBA, they were trying to make things as balanced as possible. So that's why you have Rebecca Lobo with New York, because she was,
Yes. I remember that.
she was
Yeah.
with UConn, and
Mm-hmm,
Lisa
mm-hmm.
Leslie obviously was with
Yeah.
the
LA Sparks, I think, was it
with
right?
the Sparks, yeah, because she was
Mm.
from LA, playing with USC,
Yep.
and Cheryl Swoops, she was from Texas Tech, so they put her in Houston. And then they did drafts. They were trying to put people. They did the draft, and then they had the other people come in. She said they totally messed up when it came to Cynthia Cooper because
Okay.
they put her on a pretty stacked, when you think about it, they put them on a pretty, strong team. And then when they had Cynthia Cooper come in um, to finish the team off, they didn't realize how good that chemistry would be between her and Tina Thompson and Swoops.
Sure.
They dominated. Like it was unbelievable when you saw it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like if you are a true fan of basketball,
You need to go back
and
and
if
watch
you
that.
saw
Yeah.
this team,
Oh yeah.
you wouldn't worry about if it was boring, because it wasn't boring. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm letting you know. I was there and I saw it. It wasn't boring at all.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, you had to. I recall the confetti coming down. I was in college in them days. It felt like this thing will never die. This WNBA thing. Okay, this is it, baby. We had the Charlotte Sting, where I
mm-hmm.
was. I wanted to get a jersey. They didn't really have sizes right. I'm not wearing a women's jersey back then. So, but yeah, it was. It just seemed like it would never die. And I think people need to go back and look at the energy that was in the Compact Center with the comments. And of course, then the team folded. What, about 10 years later or so,
Something like that.
something like that. And again, we had to go WNBA talk. We hope they can recapture that magic that they had back then.
I hope so, and I hope Houston gets the
It's
comments
the
back.
team
I
back.
know,
Oh yeah,
you know,
I think it would do well now. I
if
think
anyone deserves to have their team come
it,
back,
it's
it's Houston.
it's
So
a big market. I think it would do well in today's time. So
yeah.
yeah.
All
Well,
right, man.
all right, what we got?
Let's finish off this first
All right, let's finish it
list.
out. Okay,
Number
cool.
16.
Number 16. I'm gonna stick with basketball.
Okay.
Let's go with the 96 Chicago Bulls.
Oh, okay. So that's
What?
how we're doing things.
Let's
Okay.
do it. Let's wrap it up with that. We talked about the best women's team,
Let's
potentially best
wrap
men
it
in
up.
basketball.
So
So
we go
the
from
dominance
we
of
go from female Jordan to the
man.
actual Jordan. Okay.
If you see that video earlier, we talked about the Warriors going 73. Well, this is the teams whose record they had to beat. They went 72-10. The last team they lost to, my Charlotte Hornets, by the way, they had 3 All-Stars, Jordan, Pippen, and Dennis freaking Rodman. The best European player at the time, Tony Kukoc, was there. They just blitzed through
Oh,
the
so
play.
this was a super team.
Oh, super team. Super team before the term, right? Caked walk through the playoffs, mashed up the Sonics 4-2. I remember
Mhm.
specifically my family talking about they told Jordan not to sweep. They told him not to sweep the Sonics to get more games out of it because they were completely overmatched. And I don't know. if that was really the case, I'm sure go down in legend and mystery. Did they actually throw a couple, not so much throw, but just not
Hmm.
play as hard for a couple of games so that the series goes longer and they didn't sweep the Supersonics right away? Because before then, they only lost one playoff game.
Right.
I mean, this was, I think, peak. What I'm going to say is peak Bulls, and especially when they got Rodman in there after Horace Grant left. They could not be stopped. I don't think this was not the last dance year, I believe, right? Or was it?
No, 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 no,
Not the
no.
last dance year. But
This
it was
was this was the beginning. This was the
beginning of
beginning
that
of the
third
first,
three-peat.
the second three-peat.
Second
Yeah.
three-peat. Sorry. The second three-peat, and my numbers are off. The second three-peat, that beginning. Jordan comes
Hmm.
back from playing baseball. Whatever the hell happened there. The Rockets, but taking names. You got Shaq is involved now, guys like that. And it
Hmm.
the Bulls, they added Dennis Rodman, similar like Draymond Green the other way. That is what got it over the edge. And so, I mean, we can get people go on and on and on. You know, Jordan was in his peak. He was rested. Pippen probably couldn't necessarily run the team on his own, but got Jordan back. He's good to go. It's just completely unstoppable. I think Steve Kerr was there. I need to look at the
Yes.
roster again. So yeah, Steve
Yes.
Kerr. We all know the basketball mind. We now know the kind of basketball mind he is. He's on that team and shooting up threes and all that stuff. I think it was John Paxson. I'm trying to remember the first three, second three. I may be mixing and matching.
Yeah. John Paxson was in the first
First,
three-peat.
first one.
Steve
Okay.
Kerr was in the second
The
three-peat.
third
Yeah.
goes in a second. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's just I think it's just a super team. It's a and in theory you could put all six teams of the Bulls in this damn thing, and they very well make it far. But I think this is a good selection to put in.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there quite
No, you
yet,
could. Yeah, I know, not all the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I really can't say anything bad about these Bulls because the way they dominated and in the era they dominated, a lot of people don't realize this, but um, during this time when the Rockets were, the team to beat,
Mm-hmm.
um, people don't realize that the Rockets actually had the Bulls' number. Like this
Yeah.
was the only team that even Jordan himself said he doesn't want to really face them in the finals because
Mm.
it would be hard.
It would be with
He,
Elijah
he
Wan.
didn't say he didn't say
Yeah.
that they would
Clyde
lose, but
Drexler.
it
Could
was
have been a
going to be
challenge.
a hard
This
team
would
to
be a
beat because the Rockets are the only team. I would say between 91 and 97, I think. Between 91 and 97, they're the only team that has a winning record against the Chicago Bulls.
Mm.
And this was the same time as the back-to-back Rockets champions. And as you said, Shaquille, he's coming into his own, and it was an exciting time. It was
Yeah.
an exciting time. There was a
What Shaquille
lot
O'Neal.
of good.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good teams.
Oh
The
man.
Seattle team. The
Nick.
the Knicks and the
The Knicks.
Pacers.
The
These
Pacers.
were these were teams that were they were jockeying for position. You had the Magic, you had the Pacers, you had the Knicks, you had the Bulls. You had those four teams just and Miami. You had those five teams just kind of like
Yeah, Miami. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
they,
Yeah.
they were just they were just biting each other and just trying to make it through. And Chicago was just beating everyone.
Dog crap out of people. And they what 44 games in a row winning streak or something. And
They did not win 44 games. Look, don't start putting the Lakers still have the
I was saying
biggest
this.
winning streak.
Oh yeah. Oh, not saying that. Not saying that. But I'm telling you, this was the era you could beat the crap out of somebody, and it was largely accepted. And
Yeah.
I mean, to the accolades, I mean, Jordan, I mean, we're talking peak Jordan era, NBA for all NBA first team, All-Star game MVP, back when they gave a crap the All-Star game,
Hmm.
MVP, Finals MVP, all defensive first team, regular season leader in field goal attempts. So that's probably weird there. Pippen, all NBA first team, all NBA defensive first team.
Defensive.
Dennis Rodman, regular season leader in rebounds per game. That was the big thing for him, the rebounds.
Hmm.
You know,
And
Tony,
wasn't that like wasn't that like his third or
I
fourth
think
year
so.
in a row?
I think so.
Something
Tony
like that.
Koo
Yeah.
coach, sixth man of the year, and of course Phil Jackson, coach of the year. I mean, I'm looking at Ron Harper was on this team. Luke Longley was on
Mhm.
this team. I mean, Ron Harper, sorry, Ron Harper, Luke Longley, you got Steve Kerr, as we talked about. You just they swept Shaquille O'Neal with who had good knees then. They swept good knees, who went to the finals the year before. They swept them in the conference finals.
Yeah.
They could have swept the Sonics, so everyone claims they did. Let a couple games go, so it wasn't a complete blowout. Swept the Heat, 4-1 the Knicks. I mean, what are we talking about? It's this team is was just an absolute juggernaut. They could never beat the Charlotte Hornets. But other than that, this team.
Wow.
I'm joking. I was just so happy they
Wow.
won that
He,
10th
he
game.
he made sure
I
he
was
put that
so
in
they
there though.
made them drop that one game against us. It's the last game of the season, didn't matter. They probably played I think we joked they played the accountant and the mascot and the cheerleader and the water boy were playing that game. You know, there's no point. There's one game left.
Well,
You
hey,
know,
I mean, look, I talked about the Rockets, how the Bulls can't really beat them. So yeah,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
say that
So
too,
just had the Rockets made it to beat the Sonics.
right?
Are we talking?
Those
We have the same
those
conversation.
those 10 losses,
Yeah.
Houston. So
They were
yeah, I
using,
mean,
yeah, yeah. And so you're thinking, could if Elijah Wan and them boys um, could have got past Sonics,
yeah,
what could it have been? Because that was the team. 'Cause
I
that's what
would
that would have
I
been
would have
something.
loved to have seen
That
that.
would have been something to see. I totally
Yeah.
agree. It's a shame because that's when the Rockets won there too, when Jordan was out. And
Hmm.
like, well, now that Jordan's back, can they beat them? And we never got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Which, by the way, sometime in the next episode or two, we might be talking
we may
about
be talking about
those.
it, which
We
means
may be
we
talking
may
about
get
that
that
team too.
matchup after all.
Yeah, we probably could get that matchup.
Okay,
So
good.
that's good, man. We have 16 teams
That's
to
16. Woo.
think about, and everyone else can think about it. By the way, I know I haven't said it yet. Again, I'm getting used to it. You guys are getting
Yeah, we
used
all,
to
yeah.
us. So yeah, we want you guys to comment comment down below and like and subscribe. We want this thing to really grow as much as possible, because we're having fun with this.
Oh yeah.
You saw we just took about 2 hours just to talk about
Oh,
16 teams, and
oh
we're going
yeah.
to talk about another 16 teams later on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Keep doing it.
yeah, we're going to give you guys time to digest what we talked about. And any last thoughts before we sign off?
Yeah, I would say make sure you rate what rate, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I want people chiming in. What facts did we miss? Did we get some facts wrong? Was there somebody you think shouldn't be in this bracket in the first place that didn't deserve to be there? Or somebody that you want to see? We haven't unveiled the whole thing yet. So is there someone that we've got the teams jotted down, but we have done the Omaha Audible. So let's You've done it in previous brackets, so we may do it here, but you gotta fight for it. You gotta let us know what's going on.
Exactly.
Come into our Facebook page. We got a new Facebook page that we can all just talk. And I don't mind arguments whatsoever. Keep it clean enough. But if it goes Kendrick Drake, it goes Kendrick Drake. I'm in. I'm in.
I like drama anyway when it comes to
Yeah,
this
I
stuff.
love
So
chaos. I am.
I'm so I'm so drama free in my real life that
Yeah, this
I,
is
I need
sweet.
to go somewhere with a little bit of drama. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
y'all fight it out in the comments and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, as he said, we do have a Facebook page that we where we are going to
The links in
hold the actual
links in the description.
uh, brackets and tournaments. But come there as well, and you can see everything. We're gonna finish this off. We're gonna finish 64 teams here. We only did one group. They're not in brackets. We're just pulling from the pool. So any teams that you haven't heard yet, let us know if you think they should be down here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they will, maybe they won't.
Here
But
we
we'll
go.
see.
All right. I think that does it, man. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
That was a
be
good one to
cool.
start off with.
All right.
All right, everyone.
Y'all be cool. Peace.
Cool.